sooner because Andre99 wants to go to sleep. So the faster I join, the faster we can get the stream done, the faster I can entertain you, and the faster Andre can be tucked in. Wow, what a start of the year. The richest man in the world arguing with the most famous gamer streamer in the world over video games. A lot of pettiness, a lot of bizarre decision-making processes. And we also got Melody Mac, the lady with 7 chokers, an entire truck of makeup with very interesting, stimulating thumbnails, issuing condemnation about netizens on who is a pervert and who isn't. We're going to be talking about that in a bit. What else do we got? We got Red Note, China. China is polluting the mind of young Americans. And I gotta say, I got an interesting video. Let me see if I can show it. Hopefully I can. Which accurately describes to a T how American people are behaving once they install Red Note. So for those of you who don't know, TikTok is getting banned in the United States. A lot of people are thinking that this is not getting banned because of China, it's getting banned because of Israel. So here's the conspiracy theory, like whether you believe it or not. There is some elements of truth to it. In Trump's first administration, when TikTok came along, there was the actual conversation of banning TikTok because it's harvesting data for the Chinese government. And so that didn't pass. I don't know why. Like, maybe there was no political will and they just... Because, like, a lot of time politicians will do something like this. So, like, politicians will speak the speech. They will pretend that they want to accomplish something. But then they pass legislation that they know it's not going to get approved by the Supreme Court. And so they can say, well, you know, we tried it, but the Supreme Court struck it down, right? Like it's a very brilliant maneuver in order to bamboozle the public. And that was what happened in Trump's first campaign. Now, apparently, once the conflict in Israel happened, there was a lot of Democrats, a lot of especially young people, which were on the side of the Palestinians. Right, so it's unacceptable for America's greatest ally to receive such level of disrespect from the young generation of Americans. And if you're looking at who actually lobbied for the second attempt to ban TikTok, a lot of it came from AIPAC, right? So like the Jewish lobby had a vested interest in protecting America's mind from Chinese interference. And so a lot of these individuals, they got really upset with the government. They were like, okay, this is the most popular app for young people in the United States of America. There's hundreds of millions of people using it. You have completely cut us off from the conversation. You do not ask us anything, and you're making these decisions without including us. And so, in a way of spiting the government, in a way of giving the middle finger, these people are like, well, I don't really understand the point. So, like, Google steals my data, Facebook steals my data, Twitter steals my data, but like for some reason we draw the line on TikTok. No, I disagree. And so they actually did look on the Apple Store. They found an app which is legal in the US, Red Note, and they created an account. Now, what happened, I think, is an example of absolutely flawless levels of geopolitical diplomacy that I have ever seen in my life. Because what ended up happening is that America started talking with average Chinese people. And a lot of the propaganda collapsed overnight because both China and America has a vested interest into maintaining a certain narrative, right? Like China wants a narrative of what America is. America wants a narrative of what China is. And so when people actually started communicating with each other, when people started discussing with each other, especially when you think about that these are Zoomers, right? Like people that were groomed by TikTok, the result ended up kind of like in this movie here.
You will be brainwashed. Me? America's son? Ha! That will be a challenge. You bet. Our enemies are all those in league with imperialism. The bureaucrats, the big landlord class, and the reactionary section of the intelligentsia attached to them.
Right? So this is literally how I would describe the interaction that took place on Red Note. Let's watch again. Like, the Chinese people were very honest about what they're doing. It's like, yes, we're going to brainwash you.
You will be brainwashed. Me, America's son? Ha! That will be a challenge. You bet. Our enemies are all those in league with imperialism. The bureaucrats, the big landlord class, and the reactionary section of the intelligentsia attached to them.
The reason this actually worked is because this is what the Democrat Party in the United States and the intelligentsia and BlackRock have struggled to convince their people of. Like, they have pushed for woke capitalism, which is basically the exact talking points, but they try to direct the problem as outside, right? So basically, America is systemically racist. America is a cisgender, heteronormative, imperialist country. Like, all these negative things, you know, the Pledge of Allegiance is evil, nationalism is bad. And so when you're actually coming into contact with a genuine nationalistic country that loves its nation, and like some of the people from there do love their nation, I will explain why in a bit, they're basically saying, yeah, everything the Democrats were telling is true, and China is better. And so the brainwashing happens very easily. It's concerning, right? Now, what actually happened, right? Like, why did the encounter between China and America was so one-sided? Well, the people who use Red Note, that Chinese Instagram, you gotta look at the type of demographic that uses that app. And the type of demographic are like, that app was encouraging consumerism, right? So the type of demographic that will use the app are usually young people that were already open-minded towards the West. So like, think about Californians, right? Like, they're not representative of America as a whole. Like, you have certain individuals from California that are completely detached from the rest of the United States in terms of culture. And basically, oh, the Archcast is streaming? I see. Why are you interrupting me during my interesting monologue? Yeah, the way you need to look at it is that the people who use Red Note, they're not Chinese people from the rural area, right? Like, they're not people from impoverished places. No, like, they're very wealthy, young Chinese people. And so they tried promoting. Like, when Americans saw them, they thought that they're representative of entirety of China. So it's kind of like meeting Californians. You know, you meet white liberal from California and you think that this is representative for the entire America. Or you're meeting people from London and you're thinking this is representative of London as a whole. The reality is America is richer than China. Like, most of you guys that are from the United States, you are better off than Chinese people. The grievances, however, are legit. Like, you are in certain places, you have high crime levels, right? Like, especially in cities, you have a problem with homelessness and drug addiction. Like, that is true. But, you know, like, the people who went on Red Note do not get to see the Chinese ghost cities, do not get to see the Chinese people that were ruined when the, what was it, the Evergreen collapse happened, right? So you have now elderly people that may not have their backup plans for retirement. You do not get to see the oppression, like what happens to people that actually talk against the system, right? Like, none of that is seen. And so this is why I'm saying that it was incredibly one-sided. And on top of that, only the Chinese benefited from this cultural exchange. Give me 1 second so I can shield this stream out to a couple of people. There we go. Most people will be completely out of breath by the time they reach my home. It is true. City noodles? Is that what they call? Alright, let me show you something else that happened. Apparently, Fuentes made a couple of videos. I don't know if I can show them on stream though. But before that, I want to show something else. Some of the Chinese people seem to have like a deep level of insight in American politics that's far beyond what I would expect, given their censorship over there. Like, here is a map of the United States of America according to Chinese people on Red Note. So this account called Communism Central, the not-so-United States of America. So basically, according to them, America is split into 4 factions. You have the United Coast of the Pacific Northwest and California, under the leadership of Gavin Newsom. You have the People's Republic of the Great Lakes, where Gretchen Whitmer and Sean Fain hold dominion. Then you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Empire States of New England and the Mid-Atlantic. And finally, you have the Loyalist States under Donald Trump. I was like, oh, fuck off. No way. Like, no fucking way. And the problem here is that it's so fucking one-sided, right? Because on one hand, you have the people that have, like, this level of understanding in American politics, right? It's not... I mean, look, let me put it this way. For a foreigner to have this level of understanding about America, especially if they're from China, is very insightful, right? Like, I mean, obviously, an American will have a deeper level of understanding, but, like, this is already beyond what most foreigners have. And you're comparing this with, like, an American that knows nothing about China. Like, if I ask an American, like, can you tell me, is China holding elections? And if yes, what do they vote for? Who do they vote on? They don't know, right? Not only are these people able to come up with concepts like the Great Lakes and the Pacific Northwest and California, but, like, when you put a person like that to talk with an average American that doesn't know anything about China, who do you think is going to dominate the other in a conversation? And so, like, you have no arguments in that situation. And yeah, like, it's going to make it sound like China is a lot better than the US is. Which, by the way, I disagree for many reasons. But again, from a propaganda point of view, from like a diplomacy point of view, this was a major L for the United States and a major W for China without them having to do absolutely anything. Like, all of this started because America wanted to ban TikTok. And so you have, like, all these interesting takes, as you can see here. Someone on Red Note asked if it's true that minimum wage hasn't been increased in 16 years, or if it's just the government propaganda. I mean, if you want to talk about this, like, the minimum wage in the United States is a lot higher than in many places in China. This is why a lot of companies from the United States go to China so they can have access to cheap labor. And the United States also doesn't have sweatshops. So, again, like, if you don't know these things, right, this does seem like an accusation. Like, in other words, without the requirement, the legal requirement to raise minimum wage, there are a lot of jobs in the United States that you can get in entry level, and they pay much higher than minimum wage. This is another one which is also interesting. Someone in the comments of Red Note asked me if we really had to pay for an ambulance in America, or if that was just their government propaganda. So, I'm going to admit here that the American healthcare system is not fit for 2025, for the expectations of modern time. I know that some Americans will be upset about it, but look, it's true. And I'm telling you this as a European, right? Like, not as a Chinese person. I'm not saying that the British with their NHS also have a good system. But what I'm saying is that in America, with the idea of insurance, right? When everyone gets to have insurance, there's a lot of scamming and a lot of shit going on where the hospitals realize that, well, if everyone has insurance, then we can get more money than we actually need. So, like, for instance, for a C-sec, they can charge thousands of dollars, even though it's the exact same procedure that's done anywhere else in the world. I think, like, the reason for this is that America doesn't have a public healthcare sector, right? Now, why is the public healthcare sector important? They get to fix the prices, basically, right? So, let me put it this way. If in Romania, you have a C-sec at the public sector costing $100, right? The private sector cannot charge $5,000 for the same procedure. Like, it's not sustainable. It just cannot. But if there is no public sector, then they can all agree to charge around $5,000, and the insurance companies have to pay. Again, I don't think that there is such a thing as a perfect healthcare system. I generally don't think so. But I can definitely say that America can use a lot of improvements. And there is no reason to pay for an ambulance. I mean, I have seen bills with people paying like $9,000 for an ambulance because they went to get an appendicitis. And like, come on. That is ridiculous. We know it's ridiculous because nowhere in the world does it cost so much. Like, I'm not saying the ambulance should be free. But what I am saying is that you should charge something that's normal. And you can look at the market prices with a lot of other countries. And unless you're telling me that the American ambulances are like far superior than everywhere else on Earth, and that the procedure that they give for appendicitis is something so revolutionary that nowhere else on Earth is being performed, then I would understand why it's $9,000, right? And so, again, if you're not armed with this knowledge, it's very easy to get bamboozled by the evil Chinese. Expensive taxi, yeah. Insurance companies are controlling everything. Kinda, yeah. I mean, again, I think that the best healthcare system requires both public and a private to work side by side. And the ability for people that don't want any coverage to actually be able to choose so. And then the insurance companies are forced to be reasonable because they're actually competing with the public. And the doctors are also, that work in private, are also incentivized to set prices that are normal. Yeah, there's no real competition. That's pretty much it, right? Like, that's the problem in the United States. You guys don't have competition when it comes to healthcare. Insurance is the real problem in the United States. My brother would have been charged $20,000 if he had insurance. Without, they only charge him $2,000. Yeah, like, there's a lot of grifting going on. I have seen, like, hospitals, you know, overcharging a lot simply because they know that the insurance will pay. And so, it is what it is. They can run red lights. Yeah, so what? Do you guys pay for the firefighters as well? Like, serious question. If you call a fire truck in the United States, do they run over red lights? Yes. Do you pay $9,000 for them? No. To be fair, if you're in California, you probably you probably don't get the firefighters either. The police, right? The police runs over red lights. The president goes, when he has his motorcade, right? He goes over red lights. Does he pay extra for the privilege? No. Is he a citizen? Yes. Why is the president being treated different than you? Why isn't he paying for his motorcade? Like, he can afford it. He's a rich person, right? Like, the president is paid very well in the United States. Same with every other dignitary. Why don't they get to pay for the ability? Like, see, I disagree with the take that the ambulance runs over red lights. The only thing that the ambulance does, which is indeed something that should be paid, is the fact that you get the procedure starting while in the ambulance. So, like, if you're in an emergency, right? Like, they can start trying to stabilize you and prepping you for intensive care while you're in the ambulance. And they have an actual doctor there, so, like, that doctor also needs a wage. I'm not going to be unreasonable and say that working in that going with the ambulance should be free. It shouldn't. But at the same time, it shouldn't be $9,000 either. The firefighters in the United States are also EMTs and paramedics. Yeah, that's the same everywhere, right? Like, even in Romania, we have firefighters that are EMTs and paramedics. But anyway, right. Let's talk about Asmongold, right? So Asmongold got himself into a controversy with Elon Musk over the most petty shit imaginable. I already covered it on my secondary channel, but long story short, Asmongold has called on Elon. He's not even accusing that he's a fake gamer. He's basically saying, hey, Elon, if you can prove that you actually paid for, you actually played your own account, right? Like, Elon is a Path of Exile 2 player with, like, a level 90 hardcore thing. Now, I will tell you guys a secret, okay? I will tell you something that I'm only comfortable with sharing because it's a low energy stream. And there's not many people here, right? So I think that I can share with the internet. I too play Path of Exile 2 on hardcore. And I'm level 35. Now, it's not really that difficult, right? Because a lot of people think it's time consuming. A lot of people think it's... No. What you need to do is you need to know the meta, which you can easily get from the internet, right? Like, it tells you how to spec your character, what gear to go for, etc., etc. And then the difficulty happens, I think, like until Act 2 or so. But after you're passing that difficulty, the game becomes easy mode. So I don't know if you guys play these types of games, but like if you're playing on hardcore, one of the ways that you can abuse the system, it's not really abuse, I mean, it's a legit way of playing, but if the game allows you to progress, so like you're finishing Act 1 and you're now going to Act 2, you choose not to go to Act 2, you choose to keep grinding. So you're grinding Act 1 over and over, right? And you out-level Act 2, and then you're going to Act 2, and you realize that the monsters don't kill you, the game is easy mode, you're one-shotting everything, right? And so, if you get past that first wall, the game becomes actually surprisingly easy. Now, that would explain how... I mean, it doesn't require for Elon Musk to spend so much time playing the game. Like, it is possible, because the game was out for a week, it is possible to be hardcore, be max level, right? Now, the problem is that I genuinely believe that Elon Musk did, in fact, pay someone to play his character. Basically, he paid someone to boost him, right? This is what happened. He paid to be boosted. Which is what a lot of gamers from my generation used to do, pay to win, right? Like, some companies decided to pay to win. When Asmongold called him out, it triggered him. And I'm going to try and explain why it triggered him. But first, let's see the call out and what happened afterwards.
And so, yeah, I just compartmentalize everything. Why do you unfollow you? I would assume that since I am not following him either right now, I would assume that he soft blocked me, which means that he probably blocked me and then unblocked me, which made it to where I don't follow him, and he also doesn't follow me. Now, I will have to tell you that the last time that happened to me was with an angry ex-girlfriend.
So it's not just the following that we see here. It's also the fact that he lost his blue checkmark for a while, and the fact that Elon also started leaking his DMs, right? So like he leaked Asmongold's DMs, and to which Asmongold replied with a very interesting thing. Let me see if I can find the part of the spat. He basically said, look, it's one thing to leak my DMs, but it's another thing to type, I'm on hundreds of streams on YouTube, Twitch, playing live with the world's best players. No other way to say this, but while Asmongold is good at caustic commentary and making fun of people, he is not good at video games. And so Elon actually got community noted with this, and he was pointed out that, look, Asmongold was like ranked 12 Arms Warrior in Emerald Nightmare, ranked 47 Arms Warrior in Blackrock Foundry, and many more achievements, right? And so this is why a lot of people are viewing now Elon Musk as a fake gamer girl, right? Now, do I get to sweep for Elon? Should I sweep for Elon, chat? Chat, let's make a vote. Hold on, let me cast a vote here. Get a little bit of interaction going, because usually I don't cast votes, but I want to engage with my audience now. Should I sweep for Elon? Let's see what the audience decides. Should I make an argument in order to try to do damage mitigation for the PR shitstorm that Elon got himself in? Right now, the chat is very balanced, 50-50. We only have like 10 people voting. A lot of people don't want to hear my arguments. They don't want to hear my arguments. They do not have faith in my ability to sweep. They think that my broom is broken, that I'm not good for janitorial duty, that I cannot spin this in a way so that it makes Elon look up. Well, okay, you know, if that's how you guys want it, if you don't want to hear my sweeping statements, either that or you're afraid. Like, there's another opportunity, you know, like another possibility. Like, people are scared that what if I actually do say something that makes sense? And so individuals who want to see Elon suffering, they're like, no, V, you're not supposed to say this, because if you say this, you're getting him off the hook. And I don't want him off the hook. I want him in the meat grinder. I want him to suffer. Suffer, Elon. Suffer. Why should I redo the poll? I'm not redoing shit. If you voted, it's a contract etched in blood. Now you have to convince, you can try and persuade other people to vote differently, but I'm not redoing the poll. If you guys don't want to, money for a sweeping broom, oh, I would need more than that, Terry Diamantis. More than that. And then, you know, I will bypass the poll if someone super chats me. Let's do it like that. Let's channel some of that greedy capitalism that the Chinese claim they don't have. I think you're good enough. Elon doesn't deserve it. Yeah, the Polish will stand. Apparently, like, people are very divided. Like, 44% of people want me to sweep. 55 don't want me. 1% got lost in the translation. Capitalistic democracy. That's a good point. Yeah, if I get a super chat, I will sweep for Elon. I think I can do a really good sweep, though. I think I have, like, some very strong, very compelling arguments. V, are you really Romanian? If you are, you need to be paid by Elon. Oh, by the way, oh my god, that, hold on, like, I did something today which you should never do, but like in this case, I was so convinced that I'm right, that I actually did it, and unfortunately, I can't prove that I actually did it, you know? So people will have to take my faith on it. Alright, let me show you something that I did, which just mind blows everyone. And I'm so pissed off. I should have recorded it, but like, even if I recorded it, again, there's no way to prove this. You see Elon Musk's tweet. At the time of posting, it didn't have the community note. But like, I saw it when it was posted live, right? So I'm on 100 of streams, YouTuber Twitch live with the world best players, blah, blah, blah. Asmongold is good at caustic commentary, but he's not a good gamer, right? And I said, why do I have a feeling that if I scroll down from Elon's post, the first thing I will see is Ian Miles Chung being like a sassy black woman going, you tell him, King. Yeah, that's right, King. Yeah. And the thing is, right, like, when I saw Elon's post, I just clicked this button, I clicked share, and I immediately posted this. I didn't actually click and scroll down. And so I was, you know what, I'm going to get egg on my face if this isn't the case. If I see an Elon post and when I scroll down, I don't see Iron Mouse chat, go like, you told them, King. That's right, all of you. You listen to that man. You listen to that man because he has wisdom. He's got wisdom to share with all of y'all. All of y'all should listen, you know? So let's see if I was right. Like, we're going to click on Elon Musk. It's like two posts. It's two posts. He showed a lot of his weakness when he backed down from his criticism of a terrorist sympathizer on Twitch after the community tried to cancel him. A real Chad would have doubled down. Now he's fallen into the trap of pandering. Readers have added context. Asmongold did not back down, but apologized. He was cancelled. He was banned on Twitch. He does not pander to narratives, but he clearly wants to learn more about such a thing. Ian, you did have an opportunity to own the living shit out of me, but it did not happen. It did not come to pass. Did I sign up for the H-1B visas? Man, I you know what I think? Maybe this is like a 4D chess with Elon. This is not me sweeping, by the way. This is a joke. Like, my sweeping is actually more powerful than this. But I think, like, this is a way for him to make Americans feel sympathy for the H-1B visa workers. Because right now, you know, like, they're taking our jobs, they should go back, and there's like a lot of poop jokes on Twitter. But what Elon is trying to say is like, can you imagine being an H-1B visa worker and working for someone like me? Like, I am this extremely petty that I will cause this vindictive nonsense argument over video games with someone. Imagine what would happen if I actually paid you to work and you displease me. Like, no, seriously, imagine this. You're the H-1B visa worker and you're working for Elon Musk, a man that is so petty, he's going to start an internet war with a streamer over the most benign bullshit ever imaginable. Can you imagine that? Hi, V. Hope everything is well. What's this about Elon? I don't know what's going on. Alright, well, American outlier. Elon Musk has played Path of Exile 2. People do not believe that Elon didn't buy his account, right? Like, this is the accusation. Elon Musk has paid someone to level his character. Asmongold comes up and he says, well, actually, if Elon can prove that it's his account, I will start streaming on Xitter. So, like, if Asmongold is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's Elon playing and not someone else, he is going to start promoting Twitter with his streams, right? Do you know what Elon Musk did? Like, what were the options? Like, who wants to be a millionaire type of options, you know? The first option would be, he ignored it. Which is what I would have done, right? Like, you ignore the controversy, who cares? It's a video game. Answer B. He decides to leak the DMs of Asmongold. In a petty maneuver, he's going to leak the DMs of Asmongold. Option C. He's going to take away Asmongold's blue checkmark. Option D. He's going to unfollow Asmongold. If you answered B, C, and D, congratulations, you're a winner. And also, he's going to be a petty cheeky little shit about it and say, I'm on hundreds of streams on YouTube, Twitch, playing live with the world's best players. No other way to say this. While Asmongold is good at caustic commentary and making fun of people, he is not good at video games. Asmongold has achievements in World of Warcraft such as rank 12 Arms Warrior in Emerald Nightmare, rank 47 Arms Warrior. Asmongold basically said that this was uncalled for, and on top of that, he also said that this is very petty. And the last time someone behaved like this to him was an ex-girlfriend. Which is interesting because indeed it is true to some level that Asmongold actually had a bromance with Elon. Like, he actually liked several of his decisions and defended him in the past. Okay. Now, I will end the poll. I will not sweep for Elon. I did not get paid to sweep for Elon, so you guys will never know my arguments. What I can do instead is try to explain the rationale. Why is Elon behaving like this? And again, I'm not justifying his behavior, but I'm trying my best to explain what is in the man's head. Like, how do you get into such a ridiculous position? I have to admit that I roleplayed with ChatGPT. I did roleplaying with ChatGPT. Don't judge me, okay? Please don't judge me. There's nothing entertaining on TV. There's nothing entertaining in the video game industry. And so I decided to roleplay with ChatGPT. And I was LARPing. I was pretending that I'm playing the role of an ancient vampire that lived throughout human history and experienced history. And this vampire dislikes bureaucrats and absolutely despises hypocrisy. And ChatGPT had to create a simulation based around my LARPing on how would governments react, how would the media react, how would the academia react, how would the institutions react. And what I noticed that if you go around the world and you shake the established power structures, if you basically start upsetting the narrative, if you start breaking the public opinion, What ChatGPT showed me is that you immediately start getting A-logged. Like, you're getting A-logged by the governments, you're getting A-logged by the media, you're getting A-logged by the academia. Everything you do is going to be interpreted in the most negative light possible by the establishment. The people will love you, by the way. Like, the average Joe, the average citizens, they will absolutely love you. But the power structures, they absolutely despise you. Like, the institutions, they get seething hatred towards you. And so, like, everything you do is going to cause them to autistically interpret in the worst possible way. Like, if you want to travel to China in holiday, they will be like, so you're a Chinese sympathizer. What's wrong with traveling in the United States? Why couldn't you go and see Utah? Why don't you want to see the mountains in Wisconsin? Does Wisconsin have mountains? I hope it does. Right? Like everything you do with 2 scoops of ice cream, like they will be incredibly antagonistic. And so even when you're trying to do something that has absolutely no political intent, like you're just chilling on a beach, they will start to yet again antagonize you and be like, why are you chilling on a beach? Why are you promoting laziness? Blah, 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 right? And so, if you're a wealthy person like Elon, and you start engaging with the public and you're rocking the boat, what you're going to end up having is all these people that are going to A-log everything you do. I remember a video with Elon where he was on 60 Minutes, and this lady, the old lady from the interview, she says that SpaceX had many catastrophes, many rockets exploding, blah, blah, blah. This is what the astronauts are saying about SpaceX, like actual people that went into space, like they think that this is not how things should progress. And Elon actually starts crying. And I don't know if he was faking or not, because it was like a lot of feminine energy, like it didn't make him look more sympathetic. But he actually started crying a little bit, not like a child, but like you could see he's tearing up, basically. He says that those were his childhood heroes, and hearing them dismiss what he is trying to accomplish is actually hurtful. I don't know if it was a PR thing, but I think like he may actually care. You know, like he may actually care about how he is viewed, about the astronauts that you grew up with. And so, like, if you put yourself in the mindset that everything you do gets hyper-criticized, hyper-analyzed, nothing is good enough, it kind of puts you in a very bad mindset, right? Like, you feel attacked. Everything you do just feels an attack. And so when you decide to relax and you're playing video games, immediately people attack you. Now, even if you're botting, even if you're cheating, you know, the very fact that people attack you, you start to wonder, you know, like, but so many other people are cheating. Why do they have an issue with me? What does it matter? Why the fuck, you know, like, I'm just playing video games. I just want to promote my platform. Why do they care so much if I'm cheating or not? You're taking it personally, basically, because your entire life is just attack, 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 attack. And when you finally snap like an idiot, and you're snapping on a person that doesn't deserve it, and you're only snapping because that's the straw that broke the camel back, especially when you're not even in the right to snap, PR disaster. Absolute PR disaster. Now, this is why a lot of other people, like Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Twitch, this is why they just shut the fuck up. They just shut the fuck up. They don't make public appearances. They don't talk because you get the A-logging. That's why. So, like, look at the CEO of Twitch. You know, immediately people are like, oh, look at what he has on his phone. He's got women. He's a man, and he has big tits on his phone. Clearly he is a pervert. Right? Like, if you were to do this, no one would care. But if you're the CEO of Twitch, every action you do in public, everything gets hyper-analyzed. And that actually does put some stress on people. And, you know, like, when you go to your workplace and you have a supervisor, you know that saying, a watch pot doesn't boil. Like, if you have people that are constantly watching over your shoulder, and they're constantly noticing what you're doing, and they're criticizing everything, you have, like, 100 backseat gamers, it does put you in a bad headspace. Again, not justifiable what he did. I would be horrified to work for Elon Musk. But I think, like, this explains why he freaked out. Now, you should have seen my sweeping for him. Like, my sweeping was excellent. But unfortunately, you guys voted against it, so I'm not going to sweep for Elon. That's it. It's over. Dodomeda. I like video games, but I have to admit they wasted a lot of time in my life. Why do you think that if you didn't play video games, you'd have done constructive stuff? Like, if you weren't playing video games, what makes you think that you wouldn't have decided to read instead and not read actual books that would offer enlightenment, but, you know, read sci-fi or other shit, you know, read Jules Verne or something that doesn't really enrich you. It's just... Ministry of Wrong Thing. This whole situation would be sad if it wasn't so funny. Unironically, someone close to Elon needs to take an account therapeutic in the woods. I don't think that works, man. Like, no, seriously. Like, I'm a content creator, and I know that even though it shouldn't, and even though I'm trained to handle it, if you get yourself in a controversy and you get only negativity, like just non-stop negativity over and over and over, it does chip away at your sanity. And so there is no therapy that can be given to Elon. There's nothing that you can say to him. It's just like, this is who he is. The only thing that he can do is what they actually tried to get him to do, to stop tweeting. Just stop fucking tweeting. Just stop interacting. Just stop it. But I don't think he can. And so he's going to make an ass of himself. And the thing is, like, if you're a small guy and you make an ass of yourself, no one cares. But if you're the CEO of 3 companies and you make an ass of yourself, your shares go down. The faith on the platform goes down. Like, seriously, Asmongold is a content creator, right? Now, you're trying to attract other content creators to your platform. And so, why would anyone risk their business? Because this is what you're doing when you go to a platform. You're risking your entire business. Like, you're creating your livelihood there. And Elon is showing to you that if he gets upset, he can take it away just like that. Like, that's really bad for his platform. It's really bad for business. There's no guarantee. There's no safety. Why would anyone invest? Do you know how difficult it is for a content creator to invest in a platform properly? Like, you got to raise your audience over there. You got to promote it. Like, you got to make exclusive content for it. You're wasting money in the hopes that you're going to gain more in the future. And so, like, if you do it with a platform where you know that at any moment it can be taken away from you, Jesus Christ. Elon was making an ass of himself before Twitter was born. See, this is the problem, right? Like, look at Jeff Bezos. Is Jeff Bezos making an ass of himself? Or George Soros? Do they make an ass of themselves? No, why not? Because they shut the fuck up. They shut the fuck up. Every single person is an asshole. Every single person on Earth, with no exception, is having moments that are embarrassing, moments that he would get canceled for, and the internet makes it so that those moments are forever. Like, they're under the microscope, they're magnified, and they will stay there forever. There's no forgiveness in online space. And so the only thing that you can do in order to avoid that, if you're a famous person, is to shut the fuck up and not engage with the public. I mean, even Trump, right? Like, even Trump was grabbing by the pussy. Trump's wife appeared topless in a lewd magazine in Britain. Like, we can go on and on. There is no person that doesn't have embarrassing things. Is American Outlier still here? I want to show him China. American Outlier, you know what I want to do with you? I want to record ourselves going on Red Note, on the Chinese app. I will share my screen, and I will go with you on the Chinese app, and I want to hear your commentary. Wouldn't that be great? We can interact with the Chinese people. But we gotta follow the terms of service. We cannot talk about Taiwan. We cannot talk about... what else don't they let you talk about over there? Oh, by the way, Nick Fuentes apparently made an account on the Chinese app. There's AI that allows you to start shushuing, and he is shushuing. Like, look here.
现在来听听我们的赞助上的话。参观中国中华人民共和国拥有悠久历史的文明之意，有许多旅游景点如长城。今天就来中国旅游，我只是做推演。 没错，这是一个赞助帖子，但我只带来我相信的最好的产品和最好的事业。现在来听听我们的赞助商的话。
I think this would be an accurate thumbnail that would describe what's happening right now. This is 2025. Describe the start of this. Something socialists finding each other. Hold on. There was like one more thing. This one was an interesting interaction. I have been a lawyer for 12 years, says a lady. I've been a lawyer for 12 years and have never had enough money for investments. I've had to go to food banks within the past 2 years to survive. What is a food bank? Is it a place to buy cheap and affordable food? By the way, isn't the salary of lawyers relatively high in the United States? I want you to understand, these are not people that are trying to brainwash. Like, they're legitimate Chinese citizens trying to understand the situation. Like, this is their first time interacting with Americans outside of Hollywood and the mainstream media. Other people, what is a food bank? Shouldn't lawyers be well paid jobs and respected? I can actually explain what the fuck is happening here. But, like, again, if you're an American and you don't actually understand geopolitics and economy, you can't figure it out. In America, you guys have freedom, right? And you have the mentality that everyone has to go to a university. And so, if you have, like, 10 million lawyers going to a university, you end up with so many lawyers that the economy cannot simply handle. Like, there's more lawyers than there are lawsuits, right? So, like, if you have more lawyers than there's need for them, you end up with lawyers going to food banks because no one has need for you. Right? Like, that makes sense. In China, however, things are differently. In China, it's the government looks like, how many lawyers do we have? It's called central planning. How many lawyers do we need? Like, we need 10,000 lawyers. Okay, so they will have, like, 10,000 spots open in law schools. They ban, like, other private universities. No, like, only 10,000 spots for lawyers. And so, these are given to the people that either have nepotism and connections to the CCP, or people who are generally that smart. Like, they study so hard that they prove that they need to be there. And so, when you're a lawyer and you finish, you get the job. Which system is better? Well, I don't know. See, like, the thing in America, this lady, right? She's a lawyer. With lawyers, it's actually more difficult. But, like, if you are a doctor, let's say, and you can't find a job, like, everywhere it's filled, right? You can leave America. You can go to Canada. You can go to Mexico. You can practice what you learned there. You can't, like, the Chinese government doesn't operate like that. They're like, okay, how much we need? It's like, you're not going to get a free education so you can fuck off somewhere. No. Right? And so, there are advantages and disadvantages to both systems. I wouldn't say that one system is better than another. However, like, the reality of supply and demand exists regardless of the system. Yeah, I'm still here, V. Nicholas the Great. I'm actually curious if we can open Red app on Twitter. Sorry, not on Twitter, on blah. On the computer, because I only opened it on the phone. But to be honest, I don't want to give them my data. I didn't make an account there, so. LGBT people got banned? Well, of course they did. Apparently, this is what people from China were posting. And this is why America was doing so fucking awesome during the Cold War, but it's not doing so well now. Look at this. You can say anything here, like how... Well, I can't say this on the internet. On YouTube, right? You can say N-words. It's free to say this. You will never believe this. You can offensively talk to Jewish. Now, let me explain to you what's happening. There was this joke that we had back under communism, where a member of the Soviet Union meets someone from the United States. And the guy from the United States is trying to advertise why it's better in America than in Moscow. And he's saying, look, in America, we can shit talk our military, we can insult our politicians, and we can demonize our president. And the guy from Moscow goes like, well, hold on, like we can do that here as well. We can also insult the American military, insult the American politicians, and demonize the American president, right? So like, like this is the joke that I actually saw in real life. Yeah, no, like here's the thing. China bans, America bans. The only difference is the flavor of the ban. Like back in the Cold War, you could actually make the argument that, yeah, America doesn't ban its press. Right? So, like, even if you guys were to be more wealthy, they weren't. But, like, let's assume that you guys are more wealthy than us. At the end of the day, we're fine with that because we have freedom and liberty. Like, here in America, we can say whatever, we can do whatever. Like, right, we got free speech in the Constitution. And so, we genuinely do not care if you were more wealthy than us because we have liberty. But now, especially after COVID, after the pandemic, after the Biden laptop scandal, after all that shit that happened recently, right? After the Twitter file expose where the government is working with the private institutions to ban and censor, Americans, like, don't get shocked when they find another app that harvests your data and that censors you. Believe it or not, back in 2010, if Americans would have found Red Note, they would be disgusted with it. Like, they would be utterly abhorred. It's like, wow, look at how much censorship is here, right? What, I can't talk about certain topics? Oh my god, that is hilarious. Right? So, like, they wouldn't take the app seriously. They would troll it. Now they're taking it very seriously because, okay, it gathers my data. Well, so do American companies. Oh, well, it censors. Well, so do American companies. It's like the only difference is in the type of censorship. Now, the type of censorship is very interesting. What is the censorship on the Chinese app? Well, you can't be a feminist. At least not a third-wave feminist, right? That's illegal. Okay. You can't be LGBT. You can't show porn. You can't talk about drugs. And you can't criticize China. Okay. But if I'm like an American right-winger that's like a groiper, and I want to criticize Israel's policies, and I want to criticize the Democrats, and I want to criticize American shit, well, this platform is almost like unlimited free speech. Like, I can say literally whatever about these topics, and I'm not getting banned? Wow. Right? Now, from a Chinese person's perspective, like, let's say a Chinese person comes on Twitter. He would be like, well, okay, so I can't misgender people. I can't be racist towards other people. I can't be sexist. Alright? But I can share lewd art of video games. I can criticize the Chinese government. I can criticize China's history. I can criticize modern Chinese politicians. I can criticize the entire Chinese system. Wow. So I'm not going to get censored. Wow. Right? So basically, like, if you have Americans using Chinese apps and Chinese people using America's app, well, then you have freedom on the fucking internet. No, seriously, like, as an American, why the fuck do you even care about Tiananmen Square? Right? You don't live there. You already dislike the CCP. Why would you go on a Chinese app to criticize shit that you can criticize on American apps anyway? Yeah, like, why would you go on a Chinese app to talk about Chinese history? It makes no fucking sense. Like, you can talk about Chinese history on American apps. Because China is ripping us in the trade. Well, yeah, but that's to do with your politicians. Like, that's normal. That's what nations do on the geopolitical scale. Like strong nations try to compete with each other, right? So, like, that's up to Americans to elect better politicians. Like, you elected Donald Trump, I think he's going to do a good job in defending America's interests. But it's not like, why should China not try to play what's best for China, and why would they try to play what's best for the US? Like, I have the same expectations from the United States. Like, the United States should put its priorities and its interest in front of other nations. Like, obvious. Every single nation should do that. AG nailed it. Because the internet real purpose is to troll each other and talk shit to each other. Well, yeah, but it's kind of like you can't really hit your head on a wall. Like, if you know that a platform has terms of service and if you break them you get banned, there's really no purpose in going there just to get banned. It's a waste of time. Unless you have like burner accounts, but the problem with this platform is that it asks for your phone number in order to make an account. So you can't really make burner accounts. Like, you get one chance and then you're out. Unless you buy more phones. And it's like, okay, at that point, if you have like that level of energy and investment into trolling a platform where you're just buying more phone numbers, sure. Has anyone tried streaming on a porn site to get around censorship? Yes, that actually happened. So I remember when YouTube back in 2018 or 2019, I forgot when, they started going after gun channels. So YouTube passed a lot of terms of service regulations, which made it very difficult for gun channels to operate. And so gun channels moved over to Pornhub as a protest. And it actually ended up with them getting significant views. And I think like it won more than guns. I was even wondering, like, there was that time when YouTube cracked down on a lot of political commentary channels. I think that was in 2019 or so. Well, when they cracked down on the internet blood sports. And I was saying that, look, if they come for me, if they crack down on me, I'm going to open a Pornhub account. And I'm going to start talking about politics over there. And I just didn't know, like, do I need to masturbate while talking about political events? Or can I just talk about them without masturbating? Because, like, either works for me. I have no shame. Like, just tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it. Chinese app have rootkits that will run backdoors. Again, my point with all of this is that if you warn people, and you tell people, it's like, okay, this is the problem with the app. This is what it does. And people do it anyway. You know, like, there is that thing where if someone wants to hurt themselves, I mean, maybe they should. You know, like, why exactly do we need to create a nanny state where we constantly have to protect others from doing dumb shit? If people want to do bad things, they can do it. I bet you can't complain about the transgenders on Pornhubs. That's actually a good question. If you go on Pornhub, can you complain about trans people? I think you can, actually, because I don't, you know, like, the thing is, they don't really have TOS that's designed to foster debate. Because, like, everyone goes there to show porn, right? People are kind of, besides the moaning and the grunting, they're kind of silent when it comes to that. And so, maybe you can go there and you can have more free speech than on YouTube. Didn't one of them sue a porn company for not hiring them as a woman? No. Like, what you're talking about happened in the UK. And I still don't know if they managed to win the lawsuit. Like, there's a couple of interesting laws that trans people try to skew in order to get a lawsuit. One of it is in Canada, where I think the name was Yaniv or something. This trans person sued a woman for not shaving her balls. Right, so like they went into a shaving parlor, and because like the person there didn't want to shave the balls, the testicles, they're like, no, I'm going to sue you. Okay, so that's one of these lawsuits. The other one happened in the UK, and this one is really fucked up. Apparently there was this guy that wanted to shoot a porn movie, right? It's not illegal. So basically he went and he tried finding a person, like a candidate, in order to shoot the movie. And I think like they used Tinder or something, and eventually they find someone. They find the actress. And he likes the way she looks, talks with them, and it's like, okay, they agree to a contract. And when the actress comes up, like, he realizes that she has a penis. And he's like, well, lady, you're not fit for the job. And apparently, like, she got incredibly emotionally upset and wounded, and she said that this is disqualifying her based on her gender. And she sued. Right? Like literally, suck the cock, you bigot. The lawsuit. I don't know how that ended. I do think that there are exceptions when it comes to discriminating people, right? Like normally, you're not, if you're hiring, like it's true, you can't hire based on discriminatory practices, but there are certain exceptions. Like for instance, if you hire an actress for a movie, right? Like if it's a specific role, you're hiring Cinderella. Well, you can't hire Cinderella. But we are in a more multi-developed progressive society where apparently, like if Cinderella identifies as Cinderella, then... But there was another case that I found even more hilarious. In Germany, this was actually a couple of years ago, but in Germany, they have brothels, right? Like Americans freak out about OnlyFans. In Germany, they actually have brothels, like places where you can go and the women harass you. It's kind of like a spa. It's kind of like a bathhouse, if you will, right? And you enter the door and all the women harass you because they want you. Because apparently if you pick one, like they get paid. They get like a super chat every single time, right? And so being a prostitute in Germany is actually something that's legal and the government views as a legitimate business. And the reason that I'm talking about this is that Germany also has welfare. And the way welfare works in Germany, or at least it did work, I don't know if they changed it, is that you are getting benefits, but you have to prove that you're looking for a job. And I think you can only deny 2 job opportunities, right? So like if someone gives you a job in construction and you're like, no, you know what? I don't want to work in construction. It's like, okay. But the second time, like someone offers you a job as a chef, like you got to pick it. You got to take the job because otherwise you lose your welfare. And so there was this lady which was on welfare, and I think like she denied the first job. And the second job that she got was from a brothel. And because she refused to prostitute herself, she ended up losing the welfare. And again, like this is due to a bureaucratic thing, because obviously like the person who wrote the law didn't think about this particular situation. Like they didn't think about the implications or the possibility that at some point this can happen. Because again, like the business is legal, the law is the law. Sorry about that. Why are brothels not legal? Tradcons would be foaming. Well, the Twitter evangelists or the Puritans, they don't travel the world. And they also don't know history. They think that what's happening now is the fall of the Roman Empire. They have no idea about what other countries have. And they're a very superstitious bunch. Like, they genuinely believe, like, the superstitions that masturbating makes you go blind. Or that their definition of pornography is skewed. Like, for them, Victoria's Secret catalog is hardcore pornography. And they unironically believe that if you were to eradicate porn from the universe, then all of a sudden people would fuck like rabbits, the GDP would grow, you would have, like, every family making 15 or 20 kids. Like, everyone would become trad. But when you look at the world, when you look at other nations, you realize that America is quite extreme in its excesses. Either they go full-on degenerate or they go full-on puritanical. There's no middle ground. There's no normalcy when it comes to the American mindset. And I think like this has to do with the history, because like a lot of you guys, you started from puritanical, religious, persecuted people. And so that kind of lingers, the mindset. Smart if drafting men draft women to brothels. Oh my god. See, like the thing in Europe is like, just because it's a job and people do it, like at the same time we don't glorify it, and at the same time we tolerate. Like here's the thing. Like again, like the word tolerance is something that the previous generation failed to understand. Tolerance doesn't mean acceptance. Like it doesn't mean you have to accept it. Like, tolerance means you just walk past it. You can be disgusted by it. You can choose not to engage with it. You don't have to accept it. And so, like, there's a lot of things in Europe that we accept. So, and then there's a lot of things that we tolerate. In America, like, no, there's no tolerance. There's either acceptance or disgust. There's no in between. So either like in the subject of abortion, right? You either glorify it and you're like it's a human right and any infraction upon it is like a gross human rights violations and it should happen like even one day before the contractions, or you're like no, complete outright ban, no under any circumstances, 0%. And it's like, oh god, I can see why that radicalizes people. Because if you have individuals in the same society that have like opinions that are so diametrically opposed and no middle ground, no commentary based on it, no diplomacy whatsoever, like how are you going to have that other person as your neighbor? Like if they think so fundamentally different than you and they have animosity, how can you find a middle ground to tolerate them? Yeah, tolerance doesn't mean you have to be friendly, it just means you don't have to be violent, that's it. And it just means you don't have to try to outlaw it. Yeah, the definition of tolerance is to put up with something you don't like. Like, let me give you an example of what I mean, right? I went in an airplane, and in front of me there was this lady that had this fat kid in her lap. And this fat kid constantly cried and screamed. And my god, I fucking hated it. It's like, why is it that I have to sit here? Why can't I sit at the back of the plane? Why do I need to sit next to the screaming Muppet? And that Muppet was like, my god, he was making sounds as if Satan himself is beyond the corner attempting to drag them into Gehenna. Like, no, seriously, I heard kids crying, but like this kid, holy shit. And so, like, what do? You tolerate it, right? Like, I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't a pleasant experience. But, like, you tolerate it. It is what it is. 3 hours flying to Britain. I had to sit behind a lady with a screaming Muppet in her arms. Wasn't my kid. I'm not benefiting from him. Like, but I gotta tolerate, right? Now, what would woke people in America do? Well, they would decide that every single airplane needs to have at least one crying kid in order for us to have acceptance. And an airplane should not be allowed to take off unless there's at least 2 crying kids in every single airplane. And any person that complains, any person that has even the smallest amount of criticism should be fired and ostracized from civilized society. And so, like, you can notice a little bit of a difference between the two mindsets. Like, one mindset is like, okay, if you happen to be in an airplane where there's a crying kid, it's unlikely to happen, but it's not impossible. You put up with it, right? Like, you can complain. But you can't ask the pilot to kick the lady off. You can't, like, you know, maybe you can ask to change seats or something, but, like, still. Like, what is more of a humane system, right? And the reason I put up with it is because one day, when I have a kid, and I want to fly, maybe my Muppet is going to start screaming and bothering other people. And so I would hope that the other people will behave like I did. Just like I tolerated that behavior, hopefully they're going to tolerate me, right? Now, if you go on acceptance and it's the concept that you need mandatory diversity and every single airplane needs to have at least 2 crying kids for them to take off, and every person that complains is going to get ostracized, well, with that system, you're going to create a lot of social friction. You're going to create a lot of stigma, like genuinely, like under the layers, like seething hatred between people. And it's an extreme that doesn't even need to happen. Not gonna lie, kind of scared to fly with the DEI doing the mechanical work. Oh god. I saw pictures on Facebook. I don't know if they were true or not, but like people were people were attacking customers that would see that the pilot looks different than they do, and they would say, yeah, I'm not flying with this airline. Real diversity. Each board needs to have a crying baby. Oh, God, I really... You know, I still dislike kids. The only kid that I like is my own. Other kids, I genuinely dislike. I don't know if this is normal or not. It's just that, like, I have to tolerate kids, but I genuinely don't like interacting with them. I genuinely don't like being around them. They're noisy. You can't have a normal conversation with them. Ugh. They ask too many questions. Like the time that I have to go visit other family members and they have kids, it's absolute horror. And I genuinely don't know why they keep gravitating to me. Like, I sit at the table, I try to ignore them, I try to be as far away as possible, and they come to me and they ask me questions and shit, and it's like, but why though? It is totally normal. I see. Oh, you love kids, but yours is the cutest? Mine is actually cute as well. I like mine. I don't know why. I genuinely like my kid, but I don't like other kids. which is going to probably put me in a predicament, because I can imagine if like my kid goes out and he gets beaten up by another kid. Like, I will have to ask my son, do you understand the situation that you've put me in right now? I hate other kids and I like you. Don't you think that I'm going to editorialize subjectively what just happened? You're saying you're coming home with a brown eye because the neighbor kid, like you played with sticks with him, right? And since I have an affection towards you and I think you're the cutest kid in the world, and while I dislike the neighbor kid for being noisy, you want me to go handle this, right? How sure are you? I have to unlearn this bias? Oh my god. You're biologically programmed to like yours. I see. My god. There are some things of parenting that I don't know. Like, let me put it this way. I'm realizing that everything that I learned from my parents, a psychology professor would probably tell you it's abusive. Like, if my kid gets bullied at school, do you know what the situation would be? Like what the solution would be? I would send my kid to learn kickboxing and send him to learn how to pull weights at the gym. And also start feeding him like a strong protein diet. And then I would be like, go to school, Billy. Go to school. Brown eye. I mean, when I was young, we played a lot with sticks, you know, like make swords and shit. And sometimes, like, the other kid stick would slip and you'd get hit, whack, and you get a brown eye, and the parent gets freaked out. I think like a lot of this stuff, which is a shiner, yeah, we call it sem de buona portare, like good behavioral sign, you know, because like parents were telling you not to play with sticks, but there you go. I think like a lot of stuff is there to teach certain moral lessons. I was watching a stream by another Romanian, and he said something very interesting, which I think like a lot of Westerners would disagree. But this guy is a father, and he has a daughter. I think the age is 9 or so. And he was with her at the playground, and accidentally, one of the kids tripped her, and she hit her head on the slide pretty badly. And then the father goes and it's like, well, what happened? And she's like, oh no, don't get mean at the other boy. He didn't mean it. Right? So like she was hurt. But basically she didn't want retribution because like, well, he didn't mean it. And I was thinking like, you know, is this a good thing that it happened or bad? Because like you're a kid and you're learning something. Like you're learning that sometimes in life bad things happen with consequences towards you. But the other person, like, if they don't mean it, you're not supposed to be vindictive. You're not, like, if generally speaking, like, they didn't mean it. And I think, like, this is, like, the Eastern European mindset, right? And I'm trying to apply this to the office space today. Like, you're at the office and someone misgenders you or something, and they do, like, this huge drama over it, and they're trying to get this person's livelihood ruined and fired, when it's obvious that they didn't mean it. And I'm like, you know, maybe when they were a kid, maybe they should have had that experience. Like, maybe they would have learned something if that happened to them in their formative years. And I'm thinking, like, why do kids behave this way? Like, why is it so important to say if they didn't mean it, don't get punished? And I think it's because at some point you will also do something that you didn't mean. Like, you will also, when you're playing as a kid, when you're doing something and you're accidentally hurting someone or destroying a toy or something like that, and you genuinely didn't mean it, you don't want to be punished for that because it feels unfair, right? Like, you know you shouldn't have done it, but your intention wasn't to do it. And if you don't tolerate others, if you don't have, like, the same attitude when other people fuck up, then why should others have the same attitude towards you when you fuck up? Better a brown eye than a brown nose, what? V is going to end up in a duel with the dad of the school bully. I would be like, hey, well, what? I didn't do anything. It's like, what? Like, your kid tries to beat up my kid, and my kid is defending himself? Like, what exactly do you want me to do here? Like, tell my kid to sit with his hands behind his back while he takes the noggin and the jogging? Why don't you teach your kid how to kickbox as well? You know, here's where my son goes to learn to kickbox. You know, send your kid there, and maybe they'll become friends. Do you think I would manage to handle the situation properly if I put it like that? Be like, yeah, my son is kickboxing. Why is your kid trying to fight my kid? Is he insane? Is he a kickboxer too? Well, if he wants to fight my kid, then yeah, my kid is learning at this gym. This is where he trains. This is where he practices. Maybe send him there as well, and they're going to become friends. How about that? If he is a father, I think when you put it like that, I think he will see things differently. If it's a Karen, maybe not. I don't know. My kids should never fight, and what you're doing is toxic. Yeah. Honestly, though, like, some of the strongest friendships I made in life were with bullies. Like, we ended up we started off by fighting or being rivals. And then you do something together and you realize, oh, we actually have a lot in common, and you end up building everlasting friendships. Now, seriously, it's true, though. And for some reason, like, no psychology books talks about this, you know? Like, violence is always bad, and you should never be violent. And I'm like, no, violence should be channeled in productive ways. Like, learning kickboxing, for instance, is a productive way. It's a sport. You're burning off energy. You're burning off calories. You don't get fat like me. Don't want to get fat like daddy. Healthy lifestyle. And then you're strong enough in order to impress the ladies and protect those weak. Right? You see someone weaker than you can protect them. Psychology is a way for women to justify carrying. I think so. No, not like Vegeta and Goku, more like Piccolo and Goku. Violence is bad. 10,000 years of human existence. Oh my god. Jake Paul versus V. I'm not old enough for Jake Paul to fight me. Like, Jake Paul needs to freeze, right? Like, he should, like, putting him in a freezer, like in Demolition Man, right? And then he maintains the same age he has now, and I'm getting older, and maybe when I'm 85 or so, then Jake Paul can challenge me. That's his MO. That's his modus operandi, chat. You still need to watch Demolition Man? You know what? Maybe I'll do a stream on my Discord. Maybe I'll do a stream on my Discord and we can watch something. Well, I used to do those back in the day. So maybe we can do another watch-along movie. I don't know if we watch Demolition Man, but maybe we will. Anyway, right. I'm going to bounce, chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chats. And I'll see you all tomorrow.